Hey there, fellow sports gamblers. It's Steel Picks for you with the 5 best MLB prize picks and underdog free picks for today, June 4th. Before we get into today's picks, let's see what happened to us yesterday. Yesterday was one of those days where the half point was very much a factor. Jalen Brunson scored 30 points and had 2 assists to go under the 32.5 points and assists we said he'd go under. Jalen Brunson had 30 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds to go under the 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists we said he'd go under. Victor Wembanyama was 12 for 13 from the free throw line to go over the 7.5 free throw attempts we said he'd go over, to go under the 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists we said he'd go over. And Karl-Anthony Towns scored 18 points, had 12 rebounds, and 4 assists to go over the 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists we said he'd go under by a half point. 3 out of 5 is not terrible, especially when considering the razor-thin margin for error that we experienced. But let's see if we can't put together the immaculate ticket for today. First up, we have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs versus the Baltimore Orioles. Isaiah is batting .346 versus righties this year, and Orioles starting pitcher Trevor Rogers is 2-6 on the season with a 6.84 ERA, and the Orioles bullpen had to pitch 6 innings in an 8-1 loss in their very last game. The bullpen will be taxed and down a few pitchers most likely, so look for Isaiah to cling a few hits off the Green Monster. And as you can see in his last 10 games, he's been able to do this in 7 of those. And actually in 7 of his last 8. The only game was on June 2nd against the Orioles where he didn't have any hits and runs. So you can see he's been quite productive. With regards to plate appearances, pretty consistent here, getting those 4 plate appearances, 2 games against the Indians. He even had 5, but 4 plate appearances a game pretty much has been his calling card. As you can see with regards to hits, he's been doing pretty decently. He's gotten 2 hits in 4 of his last 10 games and at least a hit in 7 of his last 10. So definitely liking Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to go over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. As you can see, Prizepicks likes this as well at the -119. Next up, we have Fernando Tatis Jr. over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against the Philadelphia Phillies. Fernando is hitting .256 with 16 RBIs on the season and recently broke out of his homer drought to start the season. Look for Tatis to continue to hit the long ball now that he's found his stroke back. And if Zach Wheeler doesn't have a long outing, look for him to take advantage of a below-average bullpen. As you can see, the Phillies bullpen is not that great. The ERA is pretty high. And Fernando Tatis Jr., as you well know, loves the spotlight. So certainly looking for him to do some big things over there in Philadelphia against the Phillies. As you can see in his last 10 games, 7 for 10 of those, he's been over the 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And 5 of his last 6, the only 0-for game was on May 31st against the Washington Nationals. But since then has been doing quite nicely. Thanks so much. And you can see he's getting plenty of plate appearances, 4.3 plate appearances a game. His high water mark being 5 against the Nationals on the 29th and 30th of May. But his last 2 games against the Phillies, he's had 4 plate appearances, so plenty of opportunity to do some damage. As you can see, he's been hitting the ball very nicely. Hits in 8 of his last 10 games, so no reason to think that this trend won't continue. And in addition, as we said, he has seemed to break out of his home run funk, so expect a long ball. I'm looking for Fernando Tatis to go over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. As you can see, Prizepicks likes this as well, as they have him at the -119. Next up, we have Trey Turner from that same game, under half a run against the Padres. Trey Run is hitting .193 versus lefties this season, and Philly starter Christopher Sanchez is 7-2 on the season with a 1.46 ERA. As you can see, Trey has been struggling from the plate a little bit as of late. As a matter of fact, in 7 of his last 10 games, he has no runs, so don't really expect him to be doing much more against Mr. Sanchez, who has an immaculate ERA. So certainly thinking that he's going to keep Trey Turner in check. There's only been 3 games that he's been able to score a run. One of them against the Padres in their first game, their first meeting. but not thinking that he's going to have that same success against Christopher Sanchez. So certainly looking for him to be under half a run. As you can see, Prizepicks likes it as well, as they have him at the minus 119. And as a friendly reminder, when you sign up with BETR using my promo code WINCASH, you'll receive 2 anytime tokens worth up to $100 each. And when you sign up with Novig and use my STEELEWINS promo code and spend $5, you'll get an extra $50 bonus with which to make some extra prop picks and potentially make some extra money. Hopefully you're trailing all these picks and doing well for yourselves. Good luck, everyone. Next up, we have Jalen Duren over half a single against the Baltimore Orioles. As you can see, Jaren, we liked him earlier this week as well when he came through for us with some hits. Has been doing this pretty consistently. 8 of his last 10 games, he's been able to go over at least half a single, and that's what we're looking for. Look at how consistently this has been. Boom, boom, boom. 3 against the Atlanta Braves, and then boom, boom, boom. A few duds here, there, but then boom, right back against the Orioles. Certainly expecting him to do the same in this game against the Boston Red Sox. Against the Baltimore Orioles. So over half of a single for Jaren Duren. He's been doing this extremely consistently. As you can see, the plate appearances have been there as well. 5 plate appearances he's averaging, his high water mark being 6 against the Cleveland Indians. But certainly making a lot of extra base hits and hits contact. As you can see, very consistent in the last 10 games. High water mark being 4 hits against Atlanta, 2 against Cleveland, but 2 against Baltimore in both games, so not expecting anything less from Mr. Duran. Over half a single. Prizepicks likes this as well, as they have him at the minus 119. And last but not least, we have Jazz Chisholm over half a hit against the Cleveland Indians. Now, as you can see, Jazz has been on a little bit of a hot streak here. 8 of his last 10 games being able to get at least a hit, which is great for our purposes. And in addition, he is hitting .250 versus righty this season. And Guardian starting pitcher Slade Ciccone is 3 for 5 with a 5.25 ERA on the season. So definitely primed to get lit up at Yankee Stadium, liking Jazz Chisholm over the half of a hit. So to recap, we have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Fernando Tatis Jr. over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Trey Turner under half a run. Jaren Duran under half a single. And Jazz Chisholm over half a hit. And in addition, my 3-leg parlay is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Jaren Duran over half a single. And Trey Turner under half a run. That's the 5 picks I have for you today. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the Steel Picks for You channel. And good luck, everyone.